Alright, this is going to be one controversial video. Very polarizing topic of Cumin and Caraway. Who's a fan of this note? Please put a comment down. Let me know you love it. Or put a comment down. Let me know you hate it. But today, I'm talking about 22 Cumin/Caraway fragrances. Fragrances that feature this note. I love it. It smells great. But yes, some of it can smell like some of the what you think it could smell like, body odor. But sometimes it smells great. Not the body odor part, but the actual cumin part. Anyway, 22 Cumin Caraway fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, cumin and or caraway. Some of these fragrances either feature cumin, some of them feature caraway, not both together, or at least I don't remember any of them having both. And what's the difference between the two? I'm also going to tell you about that, but before we do that, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Last Saturday I did fresh floral fragrances. Today we're doing something completely different, cumin and caraway. So cumin and caraway, cumin has been used a lot in fragrances. It's a very, very pungent and strong smell. Now, why do I like this note? I know a lot of people probably hate it. It's like, as I said, it's a very polarizing note. It's just, I love the note because I consumed it. As I've smelled it constantly. It was used in cooking. And that smell is just phenomenal. It's a great smell. Very, very pungent, spicy, aromatic, intense smell. Totally, I mean, it's a love it or hate it. It's totally, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's either you love it, you hate it. Maybe some of you can tolerate minute amounts of it, or maybe some of you are so sensitive to it that you can't. I have friends that despise this smell, absolutely hate it. But when you've eaten plenty of it in food and cooking, I think, you know, you start appreciating it. But yes, I agree, sometimes it can smell like body odor, and I've smelled very, very smelly body odor on people, you know, not people I personally know, but just wandering around in places or running into them, and I don't like that smell whatsoever. But cumin as a note itself, there's something really beautiful and spicy about it that doesn't get close to too much smelling like somebody's body odor, but I guess sometimes you can mistake it for the smell of somebody's really bad body odor. Anyway, what's the difference between cumin and caraway? They are a little different. Cumin is sometimes confused with caraway, but cumin is hotter to the taste. It tastes hotter. It's a little more pungent. It's stronger, and it's more dense as a flavor. It's packed with punch compared to caraway. I feel like the difference between cumin and caraway would be caraway is the, you know, diet cumin. Like if you want the light version of a cumin, you would go with a caraway rather than cumin. But cumin's distinctive flavor is strong, intense, very, very warm, and the aroma is pungent. It's big. Anyway, that's what the differences are. Again, it's a love it or hate it. I love it. I love the smell, and the more I've gotten into this hobby, I'm appreciating cumin a lot more in fragrances. But there was a time when I was more like you guys, and I thought, oh my god, this smells like body odor, I don't want to get close to it. But your palate opens up and appreciates the subtleties of specific notes, and now I love it. And lately I've been really obsessed with acquiring fragrances with this note, and a lot of them. So we've got 22 here. We're going to start off with one, I guess I would say they all feature cumin except for this last one, and it's MARC-ANTOINE Barrois GANYMEDE. It doesn't mention that there is cumin in the notes, but when you put it on the skin, very, very light hints of it come off in the off the skin, like kind of crackle and pop. Very, very lightly though. Again, it doesn't mention that the notes are in there, but I feel like I get them quite prominently, and I think it's probably the violet leaves note in here. But this one's all about mineral notes, violet leaves, Immortelle, mandarin orange, osmanthus, and a little bit of that cuminy touch that's coming in probably from the combination combination of notes together, but a very, very sexy scent. It's very, very musky. There is a little bit of a fruity, appley touch in there. I think it's coming from the osmanthus note, but quite phenomenal. It's dry, it's herbal, it's ozonic, it's slightly aquatic, but very minerally. Anyway, Marc-Antoine Barrois, Ganymede. And the next one I'm going to talk to you about is from a fragrance house called Pierre Guillaume, and this is Querelle. So Querelle is a vetiver-y, incensey, masculine fragrance with a caraway note in there. So this one does not have cumin, it has caraway. So in the end result, it's not as pungent as some of the fragrances that we're going to go up to. And one thing I forgot to tell you, we're going to start off with the list with the least amounts of cumin, and at the top of the list it's going to be like in your face cumin. So those are the ones that are really going to like turn you off if you don't like cumin, or you know, whatever, if you're not a person that appreciates this note. But we're starting off with are the very subtle amounts of cumin in fragrances. And Pierre Guillaume's Querelle is very, very sexy. It's a very sexy fragrance. It's masculine, but not overly masculine that women couldn't appreciate it, but really, really wonderful. The blending of the notes here is actually really, really refined. The incense smoke comes in, but it's not an in-your-face incense smoke. Oakmoss does come in, but it's like a nice subtle amount of it. Vetiver, it's mostly about vetiver for me, but it doesn't smell like your typical vetiver fragrance. Caraway comes in, adds that spiciness, but not overly pungent. There's a little bit of a resinous touch with myrrh, some citruses, amber, cinnamon. It's very classy. Check it out, Pierre Guillaume Querelle. It's one that you should definitely check out, and if you want, you can check out my full review of that fragrance, as I think it's definitely worth it from that house. Next one is at number 20. This is MEMO Paris African Leather. So this one is a Spice Bazaar come to life, but there is another fragrance in the list that's more of a Spice Bazaar. It's actually called Spice Bazaar, but this one actually, for me, you get the cumin, but it's more about the cardamom, leather, and saffron. So the cumin appears later on, not when you first spray it, but it does come, it does crackle, it does pop a little bit. It's sparkly, it's spicy, but again, it's not the main player. There's also some vetiver here, patchouli, geranium, oud. There's some musk and bergamot. It's a great fragrance, my favorite leather. It does settle to more leather. I mean, it's my favorite leather from MEMO Paris because I like that spiciness. But for me, this one's most about cardamom. If you love cardamom, check it out. But you gotta also appreciate that cumin because it does pop. Anyway, that's MEMO Paris African Leather. Alright, this next fragrance is from the house of LABO, and this is Rose 31, and it's actually almost at the very end of my bottle. Almost disappeared because I love this fragrance, but I've had this one since about 2015, maybe 2014 even. But I love this one because it's a rose, it's dry, it's not jammy, syrupy, it's more masculine. You've got vetiver in here, lots of vetiver, lots of cedar, and little bits of cumin does come in. It appears next to the beautiful and red rose. So there's some crackly sparkliness with the cumin, and in the end it's really, really beautiful, musky, clean. No, I shouldn't say clean. The Guaiac wood actually adds some, there's a little bit of Guaiac wood in here, so it adds some creamy touch to it. So in the end, it feels like it's going to be a dry fragrance. It's not really. But the combination of the dry cumin, the vetiver with that Guaiac wood and the rose is really, really wonderful. And there's actually bathroom products of this particular fragrance that it's popular enough that they would actually make bathroom products. Anyway, Rose 31, check it out. Not for the cumin, but the rose and the vetiver, but appreciate the cumin. This next one is from the house of Serge Lutens. We have two fragrances from this house. This is Fleurs d'Oranger. So this is an orange blossom fragrance with that added cumin. So in the end, it's a floral fragrance featuring orange blossom, featuring jasmine, and featuring tuberose. So it's a white floral cornucopia of those white flowers. The smell is phenomenal. Then they throw in some citruses. There is a citrusy touch, but you're playing with the citrus flower of the orange blossom. A little bit of neroli comes in as well. So there's lots of flowers in here. Rose, hibiscus, all of that comes in, then the cumin appears. So the cumin appears much later than when you're first experiencing all the flowers. It's more in the dry down, and there's a bit of a muskiness and it settles to a woodiness, but that cumin does come in. So if you're looking for an orange flower or an orange blossom or neroli fragrance, just keep that in mind. The cumin does appear in this one. But it's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I love it. It smells great. It's a little bit unique when you're used to all those orange blossom, neroli fragrances. Nothing really happens, but then you get a little interruption from the cumin in here, which adds a unique twist. Anyway, Fleur d'Oranger from Serge Lutens. Great, great fragrance. So this next one is from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is Absolue pour le Soir. So this is the fragrance that became Grand Soir. They removed this and put it as a boutique exclusive or online order or mail order from their website. And then at that time they had just created Grand Soir, because I think this one's a little challenging because of that cumin note and the muskiness. It's quite musky, but it's really sexy, very, very sexy. But that cumin appears a little bit towards the end of the fragrance. And the musk and the cumin all go together when people associate cumin with people's body odor and things like that. But it's sexy, don't get me wrong. It doesn't smell filthy or stinky or anything like that. For me, it smells more like what Musk Ravageur smelled like. It's a little more muskier than Musk Ravageur currently is, a little more gourmand than musky. So the muskiness in here kind of does smell like what Musk Ravageur used to smell like, with that slight bit of added cumin note. Really, really sexy fragrance. This is Absolue pour le Soir from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. And this is Musk Kublai from Serge Lutens once again. So this one is a little challenging for me to wear, but once in a while I crave it. So this is a musk. After all, it's a very, very sexy, funky musk. So there's a bit of civet in here. There's some musk, ambrette, amber, labdanum, rose, and then cumin comes in. So this one actually is, people call it sex in a bottle. So if you like the smell of sex, I guess, this is what you would get, but it's very, very musky. The musk smells like authentic musk, totally authentic. I think it's the civet that's giving it that muskiness with the musk. So I think the musk and the civet most likely are synthetic, but it smells real. And then the cumin comes in, adds that funkiness in there as well to give it a very, very unique concoction. There's times that I can't tolerate this fragrance and I want to wash it off because it becomes too strong with the funky muskiness. There's times it smells very, very sexy to me, and that's when I really love it. Anyway, this is Serge Lutens Musk Kublai. Check it out if you like funky, musky cumin fragrances. Alright, this next one is from the house of Tower Perfumes. This is L'air de Desert Marocain. So this one is a dry amber fragrance, but in the background there is that cumin-y touch. Once in a while the cumin is not as strong, and at other times it's very prominent on me. It depends on my body chemistry and the environment or whatever. But this one has a huge following and I absolutely love it. This is the first fragrance I fell in love with from Tower Perfumes, and I think this is the fragrance that Tower Perfumes is pretty much known about. It's huge, huge popular seller. It smells phenomenal. But this one is all about amber, coriander, cedar, vetiver, petitgrain, cumin, jasmine, and labdanum. So in the end, it's not overly cumin-y like the previous fragrances, but the cumin does appear and you've got to be into it. But you know what you're getting into. This is that dry amber, the air of the Moroccan desert is what it's called. But the cumin does come in because, in the Middle East, in North Africa, they use these ingredients like cumin for cooking and things like that. And it's inspired by that. And it makes sense to have cumin featured in the notes, and it smells phenomenal. So this is Tower Perfumes L'air de Desert Marocain. And again, it's ranked lower because it doesn't have the cumin in your face. We're getting to the point where cumin is going to start appearing more and more. Like this next one is, after all, a tea fragrance, which I love, but cumin comes in. Unique. I love it. This is Filtre Ceylon from Atelier Cologne. Probably one of my favorite Atelier Colognes because when you smell it, it smells beautifully rounded tea. It's almost like a tea house, but when you wear it, the cumin comes in and it adds a little excitement, because sometimes tea fragrances kind of just fall flat, kind of boring. The cumin comes in and adds the spice, spice of your life kind of thing, which makes this fragrance really, really unique. Filtre Ceylon is all about tea note, bergamot, cumin, mint, cardamom, papyrus, guaiac wood, iris. There's this one actually, when you're wearing it, there's like a succulent quality to it. Like when you wear it, you feel this gelatinous kind of jelly-like quality when you're the wearing experience. And in that jelly-like quality when you're wearing it, the cumin appears to come, it wants to come out. And again, this one is more cumin-y than the previous fragrance. And as I said, it's going to get cuminier going forward. But this is Filtre Ceylon, a great release. If you like tea fragrances and you don't mind the cumin, definitely check that one out. So this next one is in a series of fragrances that was launched in the late 90s, created by Jean-Claude Elena for Cartier. This is Declaration Parfum. This is the one that has lots of cardamom. So it's almost like African leather with the prominent cardamom, but I feel like the cumin in here appears a lot more, and it's very, very sexy. Spicy notes, cardamom, leather, bitter orange, cedar, cumin, benzoin, vetiver, but on me it appears much more here, the cumin, than on when I'm wearing African leather. And this one actually smells, it stays with the spices, whereas the African leather kind of like settles to a leather, because a lot of the Memo Paris leather fragrances start out with something and finish with a leather. But here it finishes with very spicy woody notes, so the spices kind of linger on further with this one, and that's why I feel like the cumin is more prominent for me here than in African leather. And don't get me wrong, this is a designer after all. It's not a challenging fragrance, but some of you that think that cumin is really difficult, you might be challenged with it. But those of you that have advanced palates and you've worn a lot of the more challenging fragrances from the niche world, then this is probably going to be a wimp to you. Check it out. Either way, I feel like this is a great release. The series is great, and this Parfum version is amazing. Cartier Declaration Parfum. Now this next one is ultra sexy, but ultra pricey as well. And I was going to feature something else from this house, but I went with this one because this is one of the latest ones I had reviewed from Raja Parfums, and this is Parfum de la Nuit number 3. So sexy, guys. This is amazing. Such a great scent. Leather, incense, saffron, cumin, rose, cardamom, amber, styrax, oak, labdanum, cypriol. Now, even though I mentioned the cumin like before a lot of the other notes, I feel like we're still at the subtleties of the cumin here, but it does pop through. And with this one, I feel like the cumin is much more realistic than the previous one, which was the Designer Declaration. But this one is ultra sexy, guys. Very, very sexy. Raja does know how to do spices. He does know how to do leather. He definitely knows how to do chypres. And this is one of the amazing fragrances from his house. I mean, I love Creationy, but I think this one actually has beat Creationy now for my favorite of the fragrances. Don't get me wrong though, I love Great Britain, I love Diaghilev, I still love a few other fragrances, but this, oh my god, amazing. The cumin is so sexy in here. Raja Parfums, Parfum de la Nuit, so phenomenal. So this next one, we're going to another designer house. It's a Spanish house called Taos, and this is 1920, the origin. Here, I feel like this fragrance is similar to the series of Cartier Declaration, but here, the cumin is a little more prominent yet too. But again, we're dealing with a designer. They're trying to sell to the mass world, you know, the mass market. So it's not very challenging, but still, some of you that are sensitive to cumin or caraway, you might find this a little offensive. But I feel like what they've done is the cedar, the cumin, the cardamom, because this one has cardamom as well, but this one also has tea and patchouli. Everything kind of like smooths out the rough edges of the cumin, and it's accessible rather than being challenging. Those of you that find cumin challenging might find this one okay, but I wouldn't rush out and do a blind buy. Any of these, don't do blind buys. If you have a challenging time with cumin, no blind buys today, guys. Get some samples and or decants to test them out before you buy a full bottle. But I feel like the two designers, Cartier and this Taos, are easier than the rest of them, because you know they're made for mass market, for the masses, and they're not challenging fragrances. And they go through a lot of like focus groups to make sure the fragrance is easy to wear in comparison to the, you know, the niche ones that are more challenging. Anyway, Taos, 1920, the origin, great scent. Also very inexpensive. You can probably find this 100 ml bottle for about 35 bucks. All right, so this next one is a fragrance that kind of kickstarted my obsession with cumin. I bought it a year ago, January, at Heathrow Airport, but I had sampled it at Harrods Salon at the Guerlain section when they had just put it out early January. This is Bois Mysteria right here, and I'm obsessed with the smell. It's a great scent. Cumin is there. It's almost like a fusion of cumin and caraway together, but more other notes as well, like lots of spices. This is very, very spicy, but it's also very, very resinous and very leathery. There's a green part about this one too, but the cumin is very, very prominent. This is myrrh, leather, cedar, cumin, bay laurel, patchouli, neroli, jasmine, but really, really potent, pungent, in your face. Everything in this fragrance is in your face. Amazing. It's a great fragrance. And this is probably what really got me started into like appreciating cumin a lot. I mean, I had dabbled in it before several years, but way back then when I first started doing this hobby, I thought cumin, you know, was not something I would like to wear, but this really kickstarted it. This, and then the Absolute Pour Le Soir, which I also got a couple of months after this, really got me into enjoying this note, like obsession wise. But this is a great fragrance, guys. This one actually could be a little one-dimensional, so I like to layer it with a fresh rose. It kind of adds some substance to it, but on its own it's phenomenal. It's a great scent. Bois Mysterio, check it out. Guerlain, one of my favorite Guerlain fragrances. Absolutely amazing. So this next one is from a house called Jovoy. This is L'Enfant Terrible, this one right here. So this one actually, cumin, dates, nutmeg, cedar, sandalwood, coriander, orange, musk, green notes. It's a very pungent fragrance, but there's sweet touches. The dates just sweeten everything up, because there's another fragrance that's coming up, also features cumin and dates, a different one, but this one actually is a little more spicier take, not the oud variety, because the next one that features those notes does feature oud as well. But here the dates add a very gummy, sweet paste-like quality. So in contrast to the cumin, I feel like they're working very nicely together, because you got this pungent cumin, but a sweet dates, a little gummy, a little like paste. But then there's spices of nutmeg, some woody notes of cedar and sandalwood come in, but the green notes add this like unique, almost like fig leafy kind of smell to the fragrance, and some citrusy orange in there. Very unique fragrance. I love this one because it's a nice balance of savory and sweet together, which makes it very unique. So Jovoy L'Enfant Terrible is at number this is number 9. The Bois Mysterio is number 10. Now I feel like now we're really getting to the cumin. Like cumin is like appearing, and it's going to be like the main player. And then this next one is from a house called Perfumes, and this is yellow. Here, it's a great scent, guys. This is so good, but lots of cumin. But this is almost like cumin at the forest, because this one has notes of balsam fir, woody notes, and a few other things in there, like very woody experience. There's a little bit of a resinous touch in here as well that I'm picking up. But the balance or the contrast of cumin with that kind of like piney, woodsy notes, absolutely amazing. It's very aromatic and spicy, and very woody. I would say fresh spicy. Anyway, this is yellow from the house of Perfume Sucks. If you don't know it, check it out. Now this next one is from Nishane. This is Spice Bazaar, but don't look at my bottle because it's been damaged. It's spilled. So this one is lots of cedar, cumin, black pepper, yuzu, saffron, rosemary, juniper, ginger, cinnamon, vanilla. This is like a Spice Bazaar come to life, like an explosion of spices, but very sexy. The yuzu note adds this brightness to all of the spices, and oh man, it's so good, guys. This is so phenomenal. Now I wanted to feature this at the top, but the cumin is strong, but not as strong as the other ones that are going to come up. But now we are in like major cumin land, so if you despise this note, might stay away from it. But if you love spices and a very sexy fragrance that layers really wonderfully on a body, this one's amazing. This is Nishane Spice Bazaar. Hell of a fragrance, love it. Now this next one is from the house of Papillon Perfumery. This is Salome. So here we're getting into like major cumin territory, but not only do we have major cumin here, we have major animalic notes. We've got castoreum here and hyrax. And normally, typically, hyrax is a very challenging note for me. I don't like it. I love it here. Absolutely love it. So when I first smelled this one, I was a bit challenged. I felt like it was a little overwhelming, all those notes. But last year, again, this was all last year. The cumin thing was like really like developing last year. I was at Lucky Scent in New York City and I smelled this again. I immediately fell in love with it. I don't know if it's the ambiance, the environment, my chemistry, whatever, but I immediately bought it there. I bought this bottle and brought it back. So cumin, jasmine, hyrax, castoreum, oakmoss, carnation, styrax, hyrax, tobacco, hay, rose, orange blossom. It's so good, guys. This has probably become my favorite from Papillon Perfumery, and they have other great fragrances like tobacco, rose, and anubis, and forgetting the other ones. But anyway, if you like a sexy animalic cumin fragrance, check out Salome from Papillon Perfumery. We're in the top 5 now, and as I mentioned earlier, I do have another fragrance featuring dates with cumin, and this one is created by Bertrand de Chafoul for the House of L'Artisan Parfumé. Sorry, my cap is a little flimsy, so I have to hold it a little better, but this is Al Oud from L'Artisan Parfumé, and Al Oud is about oud, caraway, civet. I was wrong, it was not cumin, it's caraway, but to me this one acts like cumin. It's very pungent. Civet, dates, leather, incense, fruity notes, saffron, myrrh, cardamom, rose, very sexy. This is a very sexy, musky oud with loads of cumin. Again, I feel like it's cumin, but it says it's caraway, but it acts like cumin, and this one might be off-putting to some people because it could come off like body odor, but it's phenomenal. It is so good, guys. If you like cumin, you've got to try this because everything around it, the oud, the civet, the dates, the leather, the incense, the fruity notes. Now the fruity notes and the dates are sweetening up the fragrance. Everything else is savory. The balance is amazing. L'Artisan Parfumé Al Oud, phenomenal release, guys. It's so good. Awesome fragrance. The next one is at number 4. It's from the House of Amouage. This is Fate Man. This is a musky cumin balm. But lots of spices here. The cumin is intense here, like intense. There's incense, there's Immortelle, licorice. So there's this unique licoricey Immortelle kind of a thing going on with the experience of the fragrance. Adds a kind of a dry, hay-like quality, but a green, slightly boozy quality from the licorice. There's some balsamic notes of copaiba balm, saffron, wormwood. There we go with wormwood. Olibanum, labdanum, sandalwood. A great release, guys. This is awesome. So sexy. The only thing is, it doesn't say there's pepper in here, like a chili pepper. I get chili pepper. So it's almost like a spice bomb, like major spice bomb with loads of cumin. Cumin, lots of stuff. Anyway, Fate Man is amazing from Amouage. It's a love it or hate it though. Again, this is a polarizing note. People love it or hate it. And I don't know. I love this one. Okay, this next one is from the House of Acro, and this is Night. What happens at night? It's aptly titled or named. So at night, things happen. Cumin, rose, saffron, and oud. I don't know if you guys know Acro. Acro does fragrances that are all about addictions. So apparently this is a sex addiction theme, and it smells like sex apparently. So, because it happens at night, obviously, I don't know, but whatever the theme is, but a lot of their fragrances are all addictions, and this one's called Night, but it's cumin, rose, saffron, and oud. This is a major cumin bomb. Like the rest of the fragrances are like in your face cumin. You've got to love it. If you don't, you're gonna hate these fragrances. And this one doesn't disappoint. It adds brightness with the rose, and the oud and the saffron kind of give it an aromatic, spicy edge with the saffron, a little bit of a dry, slightly animalic oud territory, and the combination is pretty amazing. I bought this one just for this video because I knew about it, and I have a few up there. I have 4 of them now. I bought 4 of them now. Night is this one, Smoke, Dark, Awake. Those are all the ones that I have, and as I said, I specifically bought this one for this because I love the way it smells. It's lots of cumin, but it's brightened up with the rose and aromatic with the saffron, and just a gorgeous scent. If you don't know Night, check it out. It's from the House of Acro. So the next one is from the House of Hermes, and this is probably their very first fragrance, Eau de Hermes, this one right here. So this one is a cumin musky balm on a person. Like it really comes alive, the cumin. But you know, the muskiness in here, I think it's coming from leather. And leather, as we discussed in a video recently, is created with castoreum. For me, it's like a major castoreum like balm in here. So it smells a bit like castoreum, it smells a bit like leather, and then once that's all developing, the cumin pops in and just adds this like spicy edge to the fragrance, which makes it very sexy. So in the end, it's a very daring fragrance. If you've got to love cumin to appreciate it, and you also have to love musky fragrances, because this one screams musky, and it's very daring for a designer house, a brand like Hermes. And I don't know if you guys have sampled this or if you're curious now. It's not readily available. You know, I had to have it in the collection because it is one of those daring fragrances that utilizes cumin but with a lot of other notes as well. Anyway, if you like cumin, if you like musky fragrances and leather, check out Eau de Hermes from Hermes. It's awesome. And my number one fragrance that beats the cake with all the cumin, L'Autre. Is that how you say it? L'Autre? Anyway, this is from the house of Diptyque, and this is a cumin bomb. But again, here they say that it's caraway seeds. On me, it's more like cumin. I'm going to spray this one on. Caraway, nutmeg, cardamom, coriander, black pepper, carnation, patchouli. Oh man, it is pungent to the max. This L'Autre, I think that's how you say it, L'Autre. This is the second fragrance that Diptyque had created in the 70s, I believe, and man, it is phenomenal. Almost smells like a lot of this in here, but some of the notes, like the green notes and stuff, are not in there. The leather is not in there as well, the resins. But man, this is the cumin bomb that you've been waiting for. If you don't know this one or you love cumin, you've gotta check it out. L'Autre from Diptyque. Everything about it is really in your face, pungent, intense, spicy, aromatic. Really, like I don't want to use the beast mode because it's not beast mode, but some of the notes might come off like beastly to you. That's what I would use, because it's almost like musk come alive off of a human that is clean but has sweated. Does that make sense to you guys? Anyway, check out L'Autre from the house of Diptyque. It's phenomenal. The cumin smell is amazing here. Absolutely love it. Anyway, had to have it. It's number one, Diptyque, L'Autre. Anyway, guys, those are my fragrances for today. What are your thoughts? Are you a fan of this note? I know you might not be. I know this is not going to get a lot of views, this video. I wasn't doing it for the views, but I've been wanting to do this video because a lot of you like it and a lot of you do not like it, and it's very polarizing, as I said. So I'm not doing some of these videos for views. I'm doing it for the love of these notes and for you guys to find out about the fragrances. Let me know, though, have you sampled the fragrances that I spoke to you about today? Do you like them? Do you have them? Or do you just hate it? Period. You don't even want to get close to cumin because you, in the end, think that cumin or caraway smells like body odor. Put it down. I'd like to find out. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions or comments about any of these fragrances, put it down. Otherwise, please do like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.